Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm here with today's important video which is 75 days hard challenge. So आजकल काफी popular है 75 hard challenge in fitness. So let's bring it into studies as well, education as well. So 75 days, 75 important topics that you must do for your Gpat or any pharmacy and other allied competitive examinations. So अगर आप previous year के analysis करें, there has to be some topic जिससे बार बार questions आएंगे. Maybe वो same question ना आए, but उस topic से जरूर आएगा. So that is what we exactly need to target. So if we speak about jurisprudence, so jurisprudence से majorly schedules पे there has to be one question. कभी A पे आएगा, कभी C, कभी M, कभी biological, कभी good manufacturing, M1, M2, M3. So you need to do all the schedules pretty well. A, B, C, D, E, F, H, G, H, then narcotic ke liye X hai. So you need to know the schedules very well. Then Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and 1945. So from this you need to know the difference between misbranded, adulterated, spurious. Kafi bar there has been definitions that have popped up. So you need to know that there is very minor difference. Like in one there is substituted products, admixtures and all. In one the product is of other company but sold under another name. So those are the small differences that you need to know from Drug and Cosmetic Act. If you speak about the next topic, we have tablet, capsules, parenterals, and aerosols. So you need to study them in a table format. How? Just write tablets, capsules, parenterals, aerosols like this in a table. Then over here, write method of preparation. So for tablets, we have dry granulation, wet granulation. You have Zanasi, L-Lilin capsules, filling machines. You have then you have for hard gelatin capsules and soft gelatin capsule, Axogel, Axofill. For parenterals, you prepare aseptic technique, HEPA filters, so class A, B, C, D area. In aerosols, we have cold filling, vacuum filling, various methods for pressure filling in aerosols. So next up, you make evaluation. So for tablets, hardness, dissolution, disintegration, friability, weight variation, uniformity of weight, uniformity of content. Capsules, maybe have bloom strength, iron content, viscosity, pH, isoelectric point. So those are base adsorption. These are few of the topics. Parental sterility testing, pyrogen testing, stability testing. Aerosols may we have flame test, flash test. You have again so many different tests for aerosols as well. So you need to know the moisture content and all. So you need to know that these tests as well. Next, excipients. So tablets may you have binders, glidants, diluents, disintegrants, adherents, colorants, flavorants. Capsules may we have opacifiers, we have plasticizers, and parenterals we have cryoprotectants, lyoprotectants. In aerosols we have propellants. So propellant 11, 12, 114, which is topical propellant, which is hydrocarbon, which is not. So you need to know all this pretty well. Next up, miscellaneous points. So like in tablets, we have sugar coating, we have enteric coating, then we have tablet defects. In capsules also, we have so many types of capsule gelatin, types of gelatin, type A, type B gelatin. Parenterals, you need to know about the parenteral formulation, like what are the different parameters to be considered, pre-formulation studies for parenterals. In aerosols, again, basically you need to know the function of the containers, like what is the function of a canister, what is the function of a ferrule, mounting cup, housing, gasket, valve, because those questions are directly asked. Next up, we have rheology, flow of fluids. So from flow of fluids, you need to know Newtonian and non-Newtonian, and that plastic, pseudoplastic, dilatant. Then you need to know the use of various viscometers like Brookfield viscometer, cup and bob, comb and plate, Surley, McMichaels, Stormers, so many different viscometers. So you need to know this from rheology minimum. Next up, micromeritics. So in that you need to know about the powders, particle size distribution, what are the methods, optical microscopy, sieving, sedimentation, Coulter counter and all. So then you have in surface area determination, again you have air permeability, gas adsorption. So those are few important topics that have been asked from micromeritics. Stability studies, if we talk about stability, so you have long term, you have accelerated stability studies, you have short term. So you need to know the RH, the temperature, like which is at 25 degree, which is at 30 degree, which is at 40 degree, which is at 60 RH, 65 RH, 75 RH. So all this is very important for how long, like long term is for 12 months, accelerated is for 6 months, short is also for 6 months and all. Next up, solubility. So there are a number of methods because mostly BCS class, that is biopharmaceutical classification system, most of the drugs fall into class 3 or class 4 or class 2. So they do not have permeability or solubility, that is good. enough. So we need to have various solubility enhancement techniques. You need to know what is a saturated, supersaturated solution, basics of solubility. So co-solvency, hydrotrophy, micronization, all these techniques ka principle you must know. Like if they ask you, there is addition of fluid or another third substance for increasing the solubility, what is it? If they ask you if you add another solvent like ethanol or propanol, propylene glycol or something, what is it? So that is very important for solubility. Next up, we have ICH guidelines. So in quality guidelines, you basically have to study about Q1, Q2, Q3, and also Q14 tak you have to study. So in Q1 again, you have Q1A, B, C, D, E, F. Which one is for stability studies? So which one is for good manufacturing practices and all. So you need to know this pretty well. Q, which is for biotechnological products, which is for pharmaceutical development, which is for quality system, which is for quality management system, QMS. So all of this is to be done because ICH is an important topic. So steering committee ke bare mein also you can study that the members of ICH, you have Japan, what are the three countries that are the members of ICH. So this is very important. Pharmacognosy, if we speak about cognosy, we have to study the classification system of primary and secondary metabolites. Secondary metabolites may we have tannins, alkaloids, glycosides, flavonoids, volatile oils, resins. So you need to know that. Now in alkaloid again we have pyrrole, indole, quinoline, isoquinoline, quinazoline, imidazole, indole, tropane are different types of alkaloids. Glycoside again we have anthraquinone, cyanogenetic, isothiocyanate, saponins, so many different glycosides, steroidal. So again in volatile oils you have alcohol containing, phenol containing, ester containing, ether containing, hydrocarbon containing. Resins, maybe have oleoresins, oleogum resins, resinols. So if they give you a drug, suppose licorice, you should be able to know that it is a saponin glycoside. If they give you a drug, suppose phenyl. So must know that fructus pheniculum vulgare is belonging to the volatile oil category, and it has phencone and anethole. So ketone containing volatile oils. So if you study the particular chemical phytoconstituent, you should know the functional groups associated with it. Tannins, maybe have hydrolyzable tannins, condensable tannins, true tannins, pseudotannins, and all. So pyrrolidol, catechol moiety is present in which particular tannin. You need to know that as well. Analytical techniques. So when we speak about analytical techniques, we have various hyphenated techniques: LCMS, XRD, TGA, DSC, HPLC, GC, Headspace GC. There was a question on Headspace GC in 2023. UV, IR, NMR, mass, atomic absorption spectroscopy. There was a question of atomic absorption as well. That's the reason I mentioned it in this one. Then you have nephaloturbidometry. You have electrophoresis. You have chromatography. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention about the chromatography. Adsorption, partition, ion exchange, and all. Affinity, size exclusion. So that is also important. These are the topics that you cannot leave. ये करके ही जाना है minimum. इसका you should know about the instrumentation. You can make a table again for this instrumentation like UV में what are the different range 200 to 800 IR में you have fingerprint region, functional group region. NMR में there are so many different concepts like coupling constant, Pascal's triangle, McLafferty's rearrangement, Ritro-Alder. So all these topics you should know. And if we speak about instrumentation, so again, bolometer, Gole cell, nurse blower, incandescent lamp. These are few of the topics that you cannot miss. Like you should know that which one is used in UV, which one is used in IR range. HDMDX, hydrogen, deuterium, mercury, tungsten, xenon, they are sources of UV. So these things are at least expected if you are going for Gpat properly. Titrations, if we speak about, so you have acid based titrations, you have non-aqueous titration, so you have different solvents used like protogenic, amphiprotic, aprotic. You should know the examples. Acid base means there are four curves. There's one curve like this, then there's one curve like this. So you need to know the different curves because those curves, strong acid, strong base, weak acid, strong base, and all. So you need to know example like if they give you NaOH and HCl, so you should know that what is the nature, is it a strong base versus strong acid or not. Complexometry, you need to know the indicators, which are also called as PM or metallochromic indicators. So you have various indicators used in complexometry. Precipitation mein Mohr Vollard is their favorite, but they may ask you Gay-Lussac or Fazan as well. So Fazan is a adsorption indicator method where you use adsorption indicators. So you need to know which is direct, which is indirect, what is the pH, what is the indicator, ferric ammonium sulfate is indicator. So all of these things are expected from the titration chapter. Biochemistry cycles. So there are basically different cycles, and every year there is one question from cycles, and you can expect this year as well. Glycolysis, Krebs, HMP, gluconeogenesis, glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, and all, urea cycle. So these are cycles. Will you study all the structures? No. All you need to know is the various like suppose glucose say pyruvate if I'm making, which cycle is it? Please write in the comment section. If I'm making OA, citrate, acetyl coenzymic condenses with citrate to form OA, and so this is Krebs cycle. So citric acid cycle or TCA cycle. So that is what you need to know, the different products, the different intermediates. And if there is some speciality like alpha ketoglutarate is specifically only 5 carbon intermediate. So that is expected from you. HMP shunt pathway. So how many ATP is generated? All those things may be asked. Like what are the two types of phases in oxidative phase, payoff phase, like in glycolysis. So these kind of questions. Where does it occur? The location, mitochondria or somewhere else, cytoplasm. Sterilization. So sterilization may we have can expect one question. So there are different sterilization, physical method, chemical analysis, biological method. There are different sterilization indicators. Royce sachet, Bovedic test, witness tube, so many different methods for to evaluate the sterilization. So you have physical chemical sterilization, you have dry heat, moist heat, you have radiation, you have filtration sterilization, so autoclave, hot air oven, pasteurization technique, tyndallization. Other names of tyndallization, which is fractional sterilization or intermediate sterilization. Pasteurization ke two types, high temperature short term and low temperature long term, HTST and LTLT. So that is very important. And right, heat again, hot oven you use. So what is the temperature? 120, 115, autoclave 15, 15. So if they ask you 126, so you should know about the 126 as well. So that is expected. 20, what are the minutes, what are the pressure and all. So from sterilization we can expect such kind of questions that can pop up, or they can ask you an example, like if they tell you that if you have to sterilize culture media, if you sterilize glasswares, what method of sterilization will you adopt? So that is also to be known. If we speak about microbiological assay and source of antibiotics, so microbiological assays are basically of various types, like you have uh, turbidimetry, titrimetry, cup and plate and all. So there are certain source of antibiotics that you must know, and certain antibiotics that are used in microbiological assay. Like if I speak about E. coli, so E. coli is used in the microbiological assay of chloramphenicol. So there's a list behind the Indian pharmacopoeia. You should study that list. Sources of antibiotics. So there are various sources like penicillin, notatum, chrysogenum. Then you have Streptomyces venezuelae, Erythrias griseus, some Streptomyces orchidensis. So these kind of sources you must know. Pharmacological and medicam classification. If you leave the classification, finish. There are expected 3 to 4 questions from classification directly, from the chemical class as well as from the pharmacological class. So you cannot leave the classification. You have to do it. So pharmacological, we have various classes like from semester 4 we have parasympathomimetic, sympatholytic, Alzheimer, Parkinson's, depressions. From semester 5 we have cardiovascular ke drugs like endocrine system ke drugs, arrhythmia, angina, hypertension. We have erectile dysfunctioning. From semester 6 we have antibiotics, anti-TB, anti-malarial, anti-leprotic, and so on and so forth. Medicam में similarly antihistaminics का medicam SAR, fluoroquinolones का SAR, and all local anesthetics का SAR, ACE inhibitors का SAR. These are few of the SARs that are frequently asked. So go through the previous year question papers, or you can also watch out my videos. I have mentioned about the important classifications in Gpat cracker series. You can just see in the playlist. I'll be attaching the link as well, so you can have a look at those. Next up, we have vitamins, enzymes, and cofactors. So there are certain enzymes, hollow enzyme, apoenzyme, coenzyme. You should know the terminology, which is a functional unit, which is a protein part. And in enzymes, again, you should know what competitive inhibitors, non-competitive, uncompetitive inhibitors, the difference between them. What is the Michaelis-Menten constant? What is the Lineweaver-Burks plot? Vitamins, may water soluble vitamins, fat soluble vitamins. What are the effects of vitamins? Cofactors, which is a cofactor? Like magnesium is a cofactor for which enzyme? Is it DNA polymerase? Is it carbonic anhydrase? Molybdenum, selenium. There are various cofactors, enzymes that are useful. So cofactors that are useful in the enzymes. So you should know about this. Vitamins, which are the deficiencies? Suppose vitamin A, so night blindness. Vitamin B1, beriberi. C, scurvy. B3, pellagra. So these are then there is sterility vitamins, vitamin E and all. So you should know vitamin P. P is for rutin, which is a permeability factor. Vitamin H. H is a biotin that is useful for hair growth nowadays. So you should know about vitamins, deficiencies, the ring as well. Sometimes they ask you on ring also, like pyrrole ring is present in which vitamin. They will ask you naphthaquinone ring is present in which. So you should know that vitamin K mate is present. Sometimes they may link the application, like they may tell you that it is a clotting factor vitamin. So you should know that vitamin K, and with that you should be able to relate that how warfarin inhibits vitamin K epoxide reductase. Once if you are able to correlate 2 or 3 subjects together, you will be able to shine. And you study, तुमने जो knowledge पढ़ा है, actually you would have grasped it if you link 2 or more other subjects. Everything is live. Medicinal chemistry, people are usually synthesize, then they give it to pharmaceutical scientists, formulation scientists to make a formulation. Then pharmaceutical analysis wale people analyze it HPLC hyphenated techniques se. Then we pharmacologists usually perform toxicity studies, stability, various studies. So every subject is linked. Medichem, ecology, cognosy. So suppose if you extract a particular drug, so you need to know the stability studies and all for the drug. You give it to formulation scientist कि हाँ इस drug का बना दो कोई formulation herbal drug का. So every field is linked. Next up, we have SN1, SN2, E1, E2. That is a must question because from 2-3 years it is continuously asked from the. So you should know the difference. It is unimolecular, which is bimolecular, which is a first order, which is a two-step reaction, in which reaction there is Walden inversion. So this is expected at least. Name reactions. There are so many name reactions. Wolf-Kishner, Clemenson, Bals-Kamen. Then you have certain heterocyclic name reaction. You have Mannix reaction. You have Bamford-Steven. You have Shapiro. There are around 60 name reactions. You should know minimum the reactant, product, and the catalyst. And that is all that is expected. Like if I tell about ethylene glycol NH2 NH2, so you should know that हाँ Wolf-Kishner है. You should know that हाँ carbonyl से reduction करा के alkane बना रहा है. If I tell about zinc amalgam in acid medium, you should be able to tell that हाँ Clemenson है. So that is very important. Next up we have BBPK. So BBPK में we have compartmental modeling and non-compartmental, linear and non-linear. The causes of non-linear kinetics. There are absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination. So from that part, no, there has been questions. So see to it that you study about non-linear kinetics pretty well. Then you have about absorption, VD, volume of distribution. How does volume of distribution affect the half-life? Protein binding, PB. So tissue protein binding, plasma protein binding, the difference, which can increase the half-life, which can lead to toxicity, and also that is also important. Michaelis maintains reaction for elimination kinetics and all. So you have zero order elimination, your first order elimination and all. So that is also very important to know from the biopharmaceutics. Then you have modes of absorption: active, passive diffusion, facilitated, pore transport. There has been question from that part. You cannot leave modes of absorption. Then you have carrier mediated ion pair. You should know one example: propranolol, oleic acid, phytolol. So you should be able to tell ion pair. Phytolol, vitamin B12 and intrinsic factor. If I give you all pinocytosis vaccines, you should be able to tell. If I tell you polar molecules, urea, water, what pore transport. So you should be able to relate those particular modes of absorption. Heterocycles. So heterocycles ki synthesis might come, or they might. You should know the structures of few rings, and like in fluoroquinolones, obviously there is a quinoline ring. So at you should know the structure, basic moiety in timolol. If I tell you that the timolol, so that structure is very important. Morpholin ring, thiodiazole 1,2,5. Now what is the position of thiodiazole? 1,2,4, 1,2,5, 1,2,3. So you should know that position as well of the ring. If there is a drug which is 3 or more heterocycles, see to it that you know about all the heterocycles. Like in fluoroquinolones only, ciprofloxacin, we have a cyclopropane ring, we have a piperazine ring, we have so many different rings inside that. Pharmacognosy. So pharmacognosy mein again evaluation was missed. So from chemical evaluation you have all those tests: Meyer, Wagner, Haggard, Ragendorf, Vitaly-Morin, Thalliquin, Murexide. You have glycosides के लिए test, KD के लिए legal Balgedry mention order. Flavonoids के लिए again. Then you have resins के लिए umbelliferon test and all. For volatile oils you have Sudan red and vanillin sulfuric acid. Microscopic evaluation में you have qualitative, quantitative. So you have stomatal index, vein islet number, palisade ratio, and very important lycopodium spore method. So you should know what is the spore size of lycopodium, what is the color and all. Next up, if I talk about suspension and emulsions, so you need to know the stability of suspension, degree of flocculation, sedimentation, volume, emulsion. You need to know the theories of emulsion. How do you prepare? Dry gum method, wet gum method, bottle method. Then you have to know the different excipients added in stability suspension, like suspending agent, emulsifying agent, wetting agent. You need to know the HLB scale, Griffin's HLB scale. You need to know about Sorensen's pH scale and all. So suspension and emulsion is very important because biphasic dosage form, there have been many questions. Next topic, we have suppositories and pre-formulation. So suppositories and pre-formulation are basically very important because in suppositories displacement value pe sometimes numerical is asked, or they might ask you that the cocoa butter base is belonging to which kind of base, absorption, oleogenous. If they might tell you ointment base ka, so you should know ointment bases ke types: hydrocarbon base, oleogenous base, water soluble base and all. Pre-formulation, you need to know the various factors that you consider, like the crystal habit, the polymorphism, pseudopolymorphism, Then you have crystalline amorphous, the nature of the habit and all. So you need to know basically about the half-life stability studies and all. Then you have antidotes, active metabolites, and active isomers. So there are the certain drugs like warfarin, so S minus isomer, S plus ibuprofen, ketoconazole में cis isomer, trans isomer in diethylstilbestrol. Active metabolites. Certain drugs have certain active metabolites like spironolactone, canrenol, codeine, morphine. There are many drugs, adafovir, ipivoxil, which is a pro drug. So you have adafovir. So pro drugs is also very important. You need to know. Antidotes. So there are certain drugs that may cause toxicity, and we have antidotes. So like digitalis ke liye digifab, warfarin ke liye vitamin K, heparin ke liye we have protamine. So there are various antidotes and drugs. So there is a list. All this table list you will get on internet anywhere. Just see to it that you read the table very well of metabolites of the list and of the active isomers. Because see the question, if they are serving it on a platter, बस आपको वो खाना है, वो marks चाहिए, लेने हैं बस आपको उनसे. Isomerism. So isomerism, various types of isomerism, R, S, E, Z, syn, anti, dextro, levo. There are so many different types, cis trans. So you need to know about isomerism because they might give you questions on isomers because it's their favorite topic. So isomers आपको आने चाहिए assign करना. Rectus कैसा है, sinister कैसा है, which is clockwise, which is anti-clockwise. What is the priority order? What is the CIP sequence rule? Kahan in gold pre-lock sequence rule. Then one more topic that I just remembered since I came to know about the names about physical pharmaceutics. See to it that you study about the gold number and the Hofmeister series. This is very, very important from colloidal dispersion. So that chapter of colloidal dispersion is very important. See to it that you make sure you study this chapter at least once. Staining and vaccine. So staining may we have gram staining, we have acid fast staining, we have IMVIC staining, that is indole methyl red bogus proscrover citrate staining. So gram positive, gram negative, which is the primary stain, which is the counter stain, which is a decolorizer and all. A crystal violet, methylene blue, malachite green. Then you have acid ethanol and all. You have heat fixation methods in acid. So which are the bacteria? So you identify mycobacteria by acid fast staining. We identify enterobacter by IMVIC testing. Vaccines, type of vaccines. There has to be a question on vaccines. They will ask you examples like live, attenuated, inactivated, killed. There you should know the examples of vaccine. That if I tell you oral polio vaccine, what is it? Intravenous polio vaccine, what is it? So they will ask you questions on vaccinations for sure. Diagnostic test, Vidal test, a Mantox test, a Lepromin test, Rosewater test, Otorligony test. They might tell you that simple rheumatoid arthritis, smallpox, the simple direct questions are they say. They don't ask you the principle and all. Sometimes they might ask you which is based on opsonization, which is based on agglutination. So Vidal is an agglutination based test. Cold hemagglutination test for pneumonia. So it is a hemagglutination based test. So all those things you must know. Pharmaceutical engineering table. This is the last and the 75th topic that you should know. So these are the topics that we just covered. They should be done within 75 days. And these are the 75 topics. So daily one topic you should do. Pharmaceutical engineering table say I usually mean that you have various unit operations. Like we have drying, mixing, filtration, centrifugation, size reduction, size separation. So these top just make a table. Now here write the equipment. Suppose if I write equipment of ball mill, so principle is impact and attrition. If I write fluid energy mill, principle is impact. So hammer mill, impact. So you should know the applicability, which is used for friable, which is used for soft thermolabile. Then filtration, you should know the principle of the Sates filter, asbestos filter, membrane filter, pore size of the filter, a plate and frame filter. Then inside separation, you know the sieve shaker, elutriation tag, cyclone separator. Mixing, may you need to know about rapid mixing and solid liquid mixing, liquid liquid mixing. You have emulsifiers. We have one very good emulsifier name. Just type the name in the chat box in the description section. Let me see how many people can write the name of the emulsifier. There is one name of the scientist. So next up you have this mix drying you have various equipments, fluidized bed dryer and freeze dryer and vacuum dryer and all. So the phases of freeze drying, pre-freezing, pre-treatment, primary drying, secondary drying and all. So those are the things that is asked frequently. So that's all for today's video. I hope these 25 minutes were worth watching. I hope you would have watched every single minute because some or the other thing that I said would appear and you would see in the paper. So I really hope that you all prepare well and hoping to see you all in the NIPER next year. So all the best to all the Gpat aspirants and other competitive examinations aspirants. And all the best. Do let me know your doubts or any other feedbacks in the comment section. Thank you so much everybody for watching the video.